So there's a horror movie review channel here on YouTube that I used to watch that did a video of what they consider the very best performances of Peter Cushing. Now, Peter Cushing, of course, is a legend in the horror movie circles, and I'm a big fan of his, so I watched the video, and just in the comments section below, I just tried to make a little conversation, just saying, what some of my favorite roles of his were. Like, everybody loves Professor Van Helsing and Dr. Frankenstein, and one of the roles that I mentioned that I really liked of his was Dr. Perry from At the Earth's Core. Dr. Perry, of course, is a very silly, cartoonish kind of character, and I absolutely love the line he makes in that movie.
You cannot mesmerize me! I'm British!
The weird thing is, the host or the owner or whoever runs that channel got really offended by that and left a really bitchy response, which culminated in, "Well, that movie barely qualifies as horror!" It was like, whoa, okay. Oh, didn't mean to tread on any toes by mentioning this, so, I didn't make any argument, I just unsubscribed from the channel. But it just kind of stuck in my mind. Why get offended by thinking about At the Earth's Core? Is this a sore spot for Peter Cushing fans? Was this movie a sore spot for Peter Cushing himself? Or is it just not a very good movie? That's a lot of food for thought, so let's ruminate a bit on that today. First of all, Cushing himself. Again, I really liked his performance in that movie, but it's a very strange performance. Anybody who's seen that film knows that Cushing is playing it really over the top. This seems odd compared to a lot of the roles he's most famous for, again, Van Helsing and Frankenstein, where he's very stoic, very dignified, even icy cold in the case of Frankenstein himself. And then when you compare that to At the Earth's Core, where, again, he is just a living cartoon character, it's not a bad performance in the least, but I can definitely see why it's a very strange thing to consider for Cushing's career. I don't think anybody has ever thought Cushing has given a bad performance. I don't think anybody has anything to criticize about Peter Cushing, unless if you're a Doctor Who fan, but whatever. So it's kind of weird what people would make of this role. Again, I think it's best if you see the movie for yourself. Whether or not he thought this was the right approach to it, or the directors thought it was the right approach to it, it's kind of hard to say, but in the end, it's just a very strange performance he gives, but it's still a very likable one, and it fits the tone of the movie perfectly. Peter Cushing's character is easily the best human part. Doug McClure does fine, he's likable, but he's nothing really memorable, and a lot of the other extras with their, giant weird perms and all that, they're just kind of there, kind of forgettable. Between Peter Cushing and the monsters, you have really the most memorable stuff in the movie. The strangest thing about this movie and Cushing's very animated, goofy performance is that this came during the phase that was very difficult for Cushing. Anybody who knows Peter Cushing knows that one of the hardest things he ever had to go through in life was the tragic death of his wife. By all accounts, he really took it hard, which is understandably so, and he was never really quite the same afterwards. He was still a professional, and of course he's still a professional in this movie all the way, but it just seems odd to me that he would be able to do something so comical when he was just going through a really hard time. I guess in the end, all you can say is, yeah, he was a professional all the way. And whether or not, again, the silly performance was his idea or the director's insistence or any number of things, it's still a very memorable, very funny role. And I still like it a lot. To me, it's still one of the best things about this movie. As for the movie itself, well, there's quite a bit more to chew on, so let's just tackle that in the next episode.